Okay, today we're going to do day 2 of finding the distance between 2 points. Remember, the last video you watched, distance, is also another way of looking for the length of between 2 points. You might want to take out a piece of paper if you chose not to print out the notes so that you can copy down some notes and try some problems while we go along. So if you see a multiple choice question that says find the length, the first thing we want to think is length means distance. And it says find the length of the line segment whose endpoints are -3, 4, and 5, 4. I would recommend that you label these x1, y1, x2, y2. Then we want to write down the distance formula, which is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. We're going to plug in our values. x2 is 5, x1 is -3. y2 is 4, y1 is 4. Again, like I said in the last video, you can take this and very carefully copy it into your calculator without the square root symbol. And if you do that, you should get 64. Now, if I look at my multiple choices, none of them say radical 64. However, if you type radical 64 in the calculator using the radical sign, you will get the number 8. I don't know why that changed on me. So that is your answer. If we look at number 2, again here it says find the distance between the points. So again, the first thing, distance, you want to write down the distance formula. The more you write down the actual formula, the better chance you have of accidentally memorizing it so that you get those questions correct anytime you take a test. Again, I would take the points and label them. This is point 1, so x1, y1. This is point 2, so x2, y2. Plug those values into the formula. x2 is 1, x1 is -4. y2 is -2, y1 is -5. Again, if you take out your calculator, you can very carefully type this exactly as I wrote it in your calculator, and you should end up getting 34. So that value or that distance is radical 34. Since it's multiple choice, sometimes it will be in radical form, sometimes it will be in decimal form. So if radical 34 is not there, in your calculator type in radical 34, you will get 5.83. So then you can round, if it says to the nearest tenth, that's the same thing as 5.8. Just make sure you read. If the question specifies in radical form, you need the radical sign. If it says to the nearest tenth, you do need a decimal. Okay, if we look at this one, sometimes you might see a problem written on graph paper. It says find the length, so again, length means distance, of JK. So the first thing I would do is find the coordinates of J by counting boxes. From the origin, remember the origin is 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. So J is -5, 4, and K is 3, 2. So again, the first thing I would do is label them. This will be my first point, so x1, y1. This is my second point, x2, y2. Write down your distance formula. Again, I know it might get annoying, you might not like to do it, but the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Plug in your values. we've got 3 minus negative 5, 2 minus 4. Again, you can kind of cheat, type this in the blue box here in the calculator. Remember, do not type the radical sign. And if you do that, you get radical 68. If I look at my choices, that is one of my choices, so I can use that. If it said to the nearest 10th, you would type that in your calculator, radical 68, and you would get 8.24. And if it said 10th, that means that spot, so it's 8.2. Okay, if we want to take the distance formula and make it a little bit more interesting, we might throw it into a word problem. It says on a town map, each unit of the coordinate plane represents 1 mile, so each box represents 1 mile. It says 3 branches of a bank are located at A, B, and C. A bank employee drives from branch A to branch B and then drives halfway to branch C before getting stuck in traffic. What is the minimum total distance that the employee may have driven before getting stuck in traffic? Round to the nearest 10th of a mile. Okay, I personally would recommend that you take out a piece of graph paper or be as neat as you can to do the sketch. It says A is negative 3, 1. So A, 1, 2, 3, 1. That's my A. B is 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. This is my B value. And C is 4, negative 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to go down 1. And this is C. Now, if we don't need that part. It says a bank employee, so we're going to think of where they're driving, drives from branch A to branch B. So they're going from here to here. So they're going from A to B. And then drives halfway to branch C before getting stuck in traffic. So we're going to go halfway. Half. And then it says, what is the total minimum distance? So the first thing that I would notice here is this halfway mark. So that tells me halfway means we're looking for the middle of B and C. So if I focus on B and C, the first thing I want to do is find the midpoint. So my midpoint formula, if we remember from the other day, it's x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So I'm going to add 2 plus 4 over 2, 3 plus negative 1 over 2. If I simplify like this in my calculator, that's 6 divided by 2, that's 3. If I simplify this in my calculator, that becomes 2 over 2, which is 1. So my midpoint here is 3, 1. So now I need to find the distance that we drove from A to B and then from B to the midpoint. So I'm going to write A, B, and the distance formula. That's x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. I need to focus on points A and B. x2 is 2. x1 is 3. y2 is 3. And y1 is 1. I can cheat and type this in the calculator. If I type it in the calculator, we should get, again, we're just typing this, 29. So the distance from A to B, from here to here, is radical 29. And then I have to also find the distance between B and the middle to C. So my distance there, we're going to go from B to the midpoint. And again, I know I keep telling you write out the formula. I'm low on space here. So I'm going to use my B point up here and my midpoint point over here. So my x2 value is going to be 3. my one value is going to be 2. My y2, value is going to be 1, and my y1 is negative 3. 3. It's hard sometimes to talk and write at the same time. So again, you can cheat, and you can type all of this in your calculator, and you will get 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 5. So this distance from B to the midpoint between B and C is radical 5. So I need to add these two values together. If I look, it says in the directions, round to the nearest 1/10 of a mile. So in your calculator, type in radical 29 plus, and then type in radical 5. You should get 7.62, and it wants the nearest 1/10 of a mile, so that means here, the 2 is less than 5, so we leave it, it's 7.6. So again, if the question said in simplest radical form, you would leave it with the radicals in the green here, but in this case it said round to the nearest 1/10, so my answer is the 7.6. So that's combining our midpoint formula and our distance formula in one trickier question. Any questions, please email me or ask me next time you see me.